Arizona State, man. First year in the conference. 1 second. Let me pull up and running. Arizona State graphics. Good. Okay. Arizona State. So Dillingham's back for his second season as head coach. Just 3-9 last year in his first year with the program. Their offensive coordinator's gone. After just 1 year, he didn't get fired. He left to take a job in the Canadian Football League, which pretty aptly describes the situation at Arizona State right now. The OC piece to go coach in the Canadian. I don't know anything about him, so if there's like a extenuating circumstance, I'm sorry. My bad. I was just making a joke. But yeah, the OC did leave to go coach in the Canadian Football League after 1 year with Arizona State. Marcus Arroyo takes over at OC. He was with UNLV previously. He wasn't active last year, but he was the coach at UNLV from 2020 to 2022. The Arizona State quarterback. Okay, brace yourself. We're going to talk about the Arizona State quarterback situation. What a carousel last year. Now, a lot of it was due to injuries. So it wasn't that they kept changing their mind. Just people kept getting hurt. They bring in Drew Pine, who you probably remember from Notre Dame, right? They bring in Drew Pine, and he's expected to be the starting quarterback last year. Standout, breakout freshman, Jaden Rashada wins the job in camp. So entering week 0 or week 1, whatever it was, Jaden Rashada, freshman, takes over and looked pretty good. He gets hurt. So then they bring in a quarterback named, oh, by the way, Jaden Rashada, gone. He's with Georgia now. So Jaden Rashada, their breakout freshman who started the season as quarterback, he's at Georgia. Then they bring in a quarterback named Jacob Conover, started the game, took about 40, 50 snaps on the year. He's gone. He's with Utah State now. Drew Pine, I mentioned, did eventually get healthy, and he played a little bit, played in a couple games for Arizona State. He's gone. He's with Missouri now. Trenton Bourguet took snaps last year, actually took more snaps at quarterback than anyone for Arizona State. He's actually still there. Not the quarterback, though. The starting quarterback is going to be Sam Leavitt. So, Sam Leavitt transfers in from Michigan State, by the way. So, of all the quarterbacks that took snaps last year for Arizona State, and there's an army of them, none of them are playing quarterback this year. It's just crazy. So, the starter is Sam Leavitt, transfer from Michigan State. Don't know a ton about him. Do you know anything about Sam Leavitt?
He's a guy that played very sparingly last year. Saw the writing on the wall that Aiden Childs was going to Michigan State, so he just knew to get out of there. And he found the right spot because he's a starter. So, that's really all you know.
All right. All 3 RBs are back, so the running back room, they should be set, experienced. 4 of the top 6 wide receivers are back as well. So as far as weapons on the offense, they still got the same pieces to an extent. Mm-hmm. So they should be okay in that department. Offensive line, from what I'm reading, they like what they have. They did lose a few starters. I think they lost 2 or 3 starters. Yeah. But they killed it in the portal. They brought in a left tackle from Hawaii that's going to start. They actually brought in a few linemen. They actually brought in more... I think it's 3 offensive linemen through the portal that have pretty solid starting experience.
Yeah, they have 9 players on the roster that have started college
on the
games,
offensive
so
line.
It's pretty big. Yeah.
So yeah, they killed it in the portal. They have a deep offensive line. Arizona should be set at offensive line. So it's really just a quarterback. What are you going to get from Sam Leavitt?
Yeah.
We don't really know much about him. I don't really have the highest expectations for Arizona State, but also like there's a little bit of a question mark next to it. I'm not blindly fading Arizona State either.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. It's a huge question mark of a team. They're 16th in pass frequency last year. Now you have a quarterback that we really don't know about, and you have all your running backs back. So I think that'll go down a little bit. Maybe they'll run the ball a little more. They were actually a much better running team last year than they were passing too. They were not a successful passing team. So I fully expect them to run it more. Leavitt is not exactly a guy that runs it from the style he plays. Doesn't really run very often, so I don't think he fits in that way. I thought that was something Rashada did well in the first 2 games. He can run well. I don't really see there's a lot of questions and not really any answers until we see this team actually play offensively.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, they lose 3 starters on the defensive line, but just like the offensive line, I'm reading that they like what they have. They killed it in the transfer portal. Brought in a kid from Louisville, Jeff Clark, that's going to start. That supposedly he's pretty good. Same story with the linebacker. They lost a couple, but picked up a couple. Secondary definitely took a hit, though. They brought in transfers, but I'm pretty sure 3 starters are gone from the Arizona State secondary. And this was a bad secondary. I mean, look at Arizona State's pass defense last year. No, that's home away splits. Let's pull it up. Look at their pass defensive numbers last year. This team was getting cooked. Now, keep in mind, played in the Pac-12, so that means you see Caleb Williams. They were loaded up with quarterbacks. Michael Penn, they were loaded up with quarterback talent. A lot of good passing offenses in the Pac-12, which is why you see their pass defense 129th in success rate, but 78th in effective pass. Because so basically the schedule adjusted metrics were like, this team wasn't that bad against the pass. But regardless, they lose 3 starters from the secondary. We'll see if they hit on the transfers. I don't really have a ton to say on this team, honestly.
Yeah, I'm the same way. They were a lot like Colorado. Their pass defense was not as bad as it showed because of all the quarterback. I mean, anybody was going to have a bad anybody in the country, if they had to play the Pac-12 schedule last year, would have had a worse defense or worse pass defense. They actually did that. The quarterbacks last year were amazing. They do feel good about the guys they have there because they're power forward. They have a couple of power forward transfers. Really, a lot of them all around the defense. But again, this team just has way too many questions for me to guess or to have a bet on. What I think. It's going to come down to, are there enough winnable games for me to even consider this? Because plus 140 would look enticing, but who knows what their schedule here is going to be.
Which brings us to week 1.
I think it's very losable.
Yeah, they're home against Wyoming, but Wyoming is bringing back a ton of production, a really good offensive line. It should bring a nice rushing attack, good defense. Mm-hmm. No question, there's a huge talent gap here between Arizona State, a Power 4 school, and Wyoming in the Mountain West. Mm-hmm. But as far as where these programs are at right now, Wyoming's in great shape, and Arizona State is not. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I wish I grabbed... So, it's down at 6.5 now. Wish I grabbed Arizona State at plus 7.5 for plus 7. Probably next year, we were talking about this. We need to do these previews sooner so we can get on those because it's down at 6.5 now. I would love to be holding Wyoming plus 7 ticket right now.
Yeah, the first 3 games are toss-ups to me. I'm looking and reading through the schedule. This is an under, and it might be like a 2-win team. In all seriousness, if they lose that Wyoming game, then they have
at Texas State. They're losing.
Yeah, they have Mississippi State coming in. That's going to be a team that's going to throw the ball all over them.
So where's the
Texas
wins?
State? The one win is BYU. I think they could win that BYU game at home. At home. Maybe, but I probably still lean UCF.
Why is this even 4.5?
Yeah, there's not a lot of winnable games after. Even Texas State, like we said, that team's got McLeod now at quarterback. They feel good. They're going to throw all over them. Why are they going to Texas State in that game too? That makes no sense to me.
Texas State's better.
Yeah, this team has pretty much set themselves up for failure for this schedule. That Mississippi State game is going to be a tough one for them to win, even though it's late at night at home. Mississippi State's going to be better than them.
To win, they're going to get rocked by Mississippi.
I don't think they're going to get rocked. Mississippi State's not very good, but they are. There is a talent. There is a talent there for Mississippi State.
Right, next game. Next team. We have one more left. Oh, whoops. No. Now we have one more left. The Red Raiders. All right. Let's get the poll up. Texas Tech's at 7.5. All right. Poll's running.